there, welcome to the I Ching Cafe. My name is Belinda Dubston, and it is great you are here with me for our last episode for 2024. 1 foot in 2024, 1 foot in 2025, because this is our forecast with the week commencing the 30th of December 2024. Right, we get into the last weekly of the year, but before we do that, as always, we go back, we look back to last week. We had Hexagram 7, the army, and remember I said to you, oh, this battle energy. You think that now we've got to the end of the year, we can lay up broccoli, and could chill. This army energy is saying, no, there is more to be done. We need to lead. We need to get into our energy of welling up the resources and getting stuff done and being focused and moving the energy forward. Plus, we had that kind of bookended Hexagram 23, stripping or splitting apart, mirroring the whole year's overview. Bringing that little hand in at the end of the year to say, we were working with this thing the whole year. And here we are. What do we need to strip out? What is weighing down the foundation and causing cracks? What old, outmoded way of thinking needs to be released? And what new way of thinking can come in? So, as we work with last week, think about where were you? Where was this army energy of mobilizing yourself, mobilizing your resources, your helpers, maybe getting through Christmas day, lunch, whatever it might be. I certainly felt that energy on 3 different fronts of my life where tapping into the army was the way I moved through a little bit of a challenge. So I hope for you too, that working with that, tapping into that deep wellspring of resources, of energy, of focus helped you this past week, and that we were able to cut those last few branches out of the tree to prepare for spring, to give the plant, the tree, an opportunity to burst forth with new life when the cycle turns. And of course, if there was anything that came up for you that was evidential, you'd like to share about, comment would be awesome. All right, let's get into this week, because we have 4 changing lines for our hexagram this week. Okay, action. Now, before I get into the hexagram, sometimes I talk about this idea that when we have 4 or more changing lines in a hexagram, the change has kind of reached a point, a tsunami as it were, that is now pushing forward at such a pace that we're almost at the second hexagram. Things are moving so fast that we have a flip situation into the outcome hexagram, the second relating hexagram. So we can look at that, what we do in that case. If we say, look, we've got 4 or more changing lines, right? We're going to discard the fact that things are changing so rapidly that we're not going to pay attention to those. What we do is we take the second hexagram, okay, the outcome hexagram, and we take the 2 lines in the first hexagram that are not changing, all right, and we read those in the second hexagram. So I know that sounds very complicated, but I'm going to today focus on all 4 changing lines, and we're going to work through it. So when we have lots of changing lines in a week, you will feel a lot of turnover of energy. So we are here at the end of the year. You might be on holiday, you might not be on holiday. Like I said a few weeks ago, the I Ching does not give us a day off because we are developing and learning and growing every day. Okay, so certainly the changing lines are not giving us an option of abdicating from the week. Okay, so our first hexagram for this week is hexagram 62, attention to the details. This hexagram tells the story, the legend of Icarus, whose father made him a pair of wax wings to help him escape imprisonment. And he said to his son, and you have heard me tell the story before, don't fly too high, Icarus. These are wax wings. The closer you get to the sun, they're going to melt and you could fall from the sky. And of course, what did Icarus do? Do youngsters listen to their adults? Do we when we were that age? No, we do not, because we know better. And so he was so excited to be freed from this imprisonment. He went up and up and up and up and up, and the wings melted and he plunged to his death. This hexagram is all about the dangers of flying too high when we don't have the energy. The flow does not match the activity of soaring to new heights. Okay. And you also heard me talk about this idea that this hexagram reminds me of a chicken. Now, if you would like to know more about this hexagram, this one, hexagram 62, is one of the deep dive hexagrams that I've done so far. Yes, I am planning to do all of them as time allows. And so if you'd like to go into more depth on this hexagram, you'll hear the Icarus story again. Go and follow the link wherever I put the link. Okay, so Icarus is a story not flying too high. We therefore are not an eagle soaring to great heights, soaring to strategic viewpoints, getting perspective, going in big picture thinking. We stay close to the ground. We are chickens that are clicking and clucking our way through every little seed dropped between all the stones. Our head is completely and utterly focused on the ground in front of us. Grounding and practical and nose to the grindstone are all ideas and concepts that help us with it. The bird must fly close to the horizon, close to land. Okay, it cannot go up. It must just make its way low. Okay, so this week we have to be practical, sensible, focused on the practical here and now. This would not be a great time, I would imagine, to go off and do your big picture strategic thinking. Okay, because the energy is not there. First half of the week in particular, okay, we focus on the details. This might be in advance of you planning your new year, setting your goals, your new Year's resolutions, your plans for 2025, is looking at the realities of 2024. What did we actually get? What were the results on the ground? Okay, then you can use those insights when the time is right to go into that new energy. All right, but now, first half of the week in particular, we are focused on the details. We are focused on the practical things. We are chickens. Okay, 4 changing lines. And they are in interesting positions because it's position 1 and 2, the first 2, and position 5 and 6. So we have position 2 and 5 are strength positions. Okay, position 1 and 6 are entering and leaving. So they are volatile. Okay, transitory. So let's get into a quick summary of what these 4 lines mean. Number 1, as much as we may be tempted to fly, to be the bird soaring, no, 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 absolutely not. Okay, so this is the beginning of this energy. So it's even more akin to staying in the nest, staying low, staying quiet, all right, staying in the ground, being absolute chicken, okay, at this point. And so we need to absolutely pay attention to doing that as we start off the week. Line 2. 2, second, secondary position. Okay, that's how to remember it with this line. Line 2 says we need to be willing to take the secondary position on something. Be in the background, be a guide on the side, okay, be in the shadows and in the wings. Hold the space, but not try and be the center player. So there's something here around needing to hold the space, not try and look at me, I'm a bird, I can fly, okay. Or even look at me, I'm a turbo chicken. Okay, so it's really about being in the secondary position. Also looking at people who are in the secondary position that have a lot of value to share. I've shared this example before, that if you want to know what's going on in an organization, you don't ask the CEO or a director, you ask their personal assistants because they know everything. They can open all the doors or they can shut all the doors. Okay, so it's looking at who might be able to help, who has a background position, okay, who is kind of not quite forefront, who's in the wings, who can be brought in to help to provide some assistance or insight. Okay, so it's us taking a secondary position and looking for those who are in a background position, in a secondary position, who have something valuable to contribute. Position 5, okay, this is all about the rains are coming. They're accumulating, almost like hexagram 5, right? We're not quite here yet, but what you're wanting is accumulating, it's coming. And in the meantime, seek the person who is in retreat. Okay. In my mind, if we were to make this a practical situation, it would be someone who is heading to or is in retirement. Okay. It's that kind of idea of someone who's been in from a work point of view, who has worked in a particular area, has changed their career, who's moved on, who's in retirement, who has lots of valuable insight to share. And very often this changing line with 5 is about gaining counsel, looking for those who have withdrawn from the situation, who have retired, removed themselves from it, to get their advice, their input, or their recommendations. So there's help here, but it comes from the person who is in retreat. Let's see how that works out for you, what this connects to you for. All right, and in line 6 is a very strong warning line. It's a line that says, Mayday, Mayday, Mayday. You have not learned the lessons of overreach. You are overreaching what you can do, what is within your skills, within your time and capacity and budget. It's an overreach. You're stretching beyond the time, beyond where you are. Mayday, Mayday, Mayday. This might be you're out house hunting, for example, and the price of the property you really, really want is beyond your reach, and you think that if you did this and X and Y and Z, you could, over a period of time, claw back the difference. This kind of changing line says, wherever you are overreaching for now, next week might be different. But what we're tuning into is the areas of our lives where we are overreaching. Not just overreaching in this week, right? Overreaching in our lives and our businesses, full stop. Because what we're doing is we're tuning in, as hexagrams, tuning us into the details that matter. And part of this is this bird that's trying to fly too high, Icarus, trying to get to the sun. And this line is like, what can happen if you really don't see the warnings over and over and over and over? Okay. So some interesting changing lines for us to work with, all 4. There's a lot of energy, which means that if you want to work with only looking at our second hexagram, you're going to look in the second hexagram for lines 3 and 4. Because in our main hexagram, those are the only 2, the middle ones, that are unchanging. And it'll be great if you do have an I Ching book, is to pull it out and go and have a look at lines 3 and 4 of our outcome hexagram to go and look at what that might give you, because it'll give you an extra layer of insight. So in a nutshell, we've got a lot of action this week, all about the bird not flying too high, seeking help from the secondary position, all right, seeking insight from the retiree, whatever that might mean, and not overreaching. Pull back before it is too late. Be cautious with your spending, especially. This kind of line is really about the commitments we make at this time during this week. Think about, what are you saying yes to? What are you signing the dotted line for? What are the contracts that are in front of you? Be absolutely clear that as you enter into those agreements, that the only way that you can work through them and succeed with them is by overreaching. And if that is the situation, you've got to rethink quickly. It's trying to protect us. All right, our second hexagram, where this is all leading to, rapidly, I find this very interesting, an interesting combination, because it's hexagram 1, the creative, the new beginning, the new year, right here at second half of the week. As we clip into 2025, the new cycle begins, the new energy comes in. Hexagram 1, 6 male yang lines, the surge of creative power that you might feel working through the details, tying up those loose ends, right? Those loose little bits that need to be gathered. And then this new energy comes in. So the quicker we can work with sorting out those details, right, being conscious of not flying too high and not overreaching, we can start moving into the new beginning, into the new energy. But it's a very interesting combination of these 2 hexagrams. Let us see how they fit together. That we're being told not to look up into the big sky to follow the mythical dragon, on a new adventure, but yet we have that energy with us in this week, in the second part. So our victory is to attend to those details, all right? Work through them, get them under your belt, and then open the space for the new to come in, because it is knocking at the door. That wonderful creative energy, creative power, I don't mean artistic power. I mean your creative power to manifest your world, to create things in this world, to bring your gifts to the world, to move forward with creative male energy. That is what Hexagram 1 is all about. The ultimate father creation energy that we bring to this week. What is it going to bless us with? What insight might come to us as we lean into it in the second half of this week? Well, here we are. We've finished up 2024, entering 2025. Very soon, I'll share with you our annual overview and our monthly for January, and then our first one for the new year, the first full week into January. Lots to do, lots to learn and pay attention to as we work with the I Ching. Have a blessed week. Enjoy the last few days of 2024. They were intense and hectic and wonderful and full of blessings, and I hope that you've had a chance to recover and recuperate, to take time out and not be crushed by exhaustion at the end of the year, that you are ready for the energy that's coming and that you're ready to move forward. Thank you so much for being here with me, and I look forward to seeing you very soon for that annual overview. Until then, take care.